In this video, I'm going to talk about property factors or property managers. They're the same role, and depending on in Scotland, we call them property factors, and if in England and Wales, we call them property managers. And you're probably watching this video because you have a property that has a property factor, and even if you don't have a property factor, it might be useful information. So let's make a start then. So what do they do then, these property factors? Well, first of all, they organise the common insurance for the building, and it makes everybody pay for the building insurance. So if there's eight owners, then they all have to pay. So day to day, they're responsible for the day to day upkeep of the property to keep the place nice and tidy, like this, the stair cleaning, the gardening, stair lighting, that sort of thing. Okay, just the day to day maintenance or upkeep of the property. Now, they also organize meetings if you are, if you're an owner. So they'll organize meetings for the owners for decision making. Now, this could be quite hard if you are an absent owner, say you're overseas in Hong Kong, which some of my investors are, then you won't you'll need to send a representative or not attend at all and just leave the other owners. Now, um, most blocks have owner occupiers, so they will be attending, and depending on the investor, whether you're overseas or not, you might or might not attend. Okay, so and the property maintenance, they're also responsible for the property maintenance. So this is not just the daily upkeep. So this is, maybe there's a leak in the roof, okay, and they'll need to go and get quotes. They'll hire contractors and they'll oversee the work to make sure it gets done, okay. And they'll deal with any complaints about anything in the property. Mostly it's to do with repair, okay, and maintenance. So a property factor who could be a private business. They run it for a profit, or it could be the local authority, or it could be a registered social landlord, which is a not-for-profit organization. So these three potential groups of people could play the role of a property factor. Okay. Now, how much does it cost, and what are the costs? Now, usually each property is charged a monthly, or sorry, a regular management fee, and they could be every 3 months, every month, every 6 months. There's just no set standard, but most of the time it's every 3 months or every quarter. Okay, and they might also demand a float. Okay, a float is used, to maybe a few £100. So if there's any small repairs, they will just take it out of the float, pay for it from the float, and then ask you to top up the float, okay, from time to time. Now, for bigger repairs, what they might do is set up a building maintenance fund, so they accumulate funds for this repair. Say, for example, is a very expensive repair to the roof. Okay, say it costs £1,000 for all the owners. They're not going to demand it in one payment. So what they do is, maybe every quarter, if it's billed quarterly, they might take £200, and then once they've got so much, maybe after a year, they will go and instruct the works to be done, and then, by the time the works have been done and completed and checked, there would be enough funds accumulated to settle the repair. Okay, so typical factoring charges could be stair cleaning, Could be landscaping and gardening. Okay, someone needs to cut the grass. Yeah. Could be stair lighting, and obviously they're to organize all this. The property management fee and the building insurance. Okay, and maybe cleaning the gutters. And from time to time, there might be ad hoc charges like repairing the front door, uh, repairing a leak in the roof. It could be caused by a cracked tile or something like that. So these come up from time to time. They're not regular charges. The ones above, like stair cleaning, gardening, they should be regular charges, okay? They're regular charges. Now, let me show you a few examples. This one is quite a big, so this firm called Lowther is quite a big company, and they are a for-profit organization. So if you look at their charges here, they've got a management fee which is 45. Their charging period is 3 months, yeah, and they that's the management fee. This is the insurance. Um, you know, um, they also VAT registered, so we pay VAT as well. So they're very simple, right? So there was in this bill, there's no kind of ad hoc charges. Okay, now this other one. It's called Cernuc. It's a much smaller organization. They have a management fee. Now, their charging period is also 3 months, okay? Their charging management fee is less. They have building insurance, backcourt maintenance, which is, the rubbish area, yeah? The bins area basically, and clothes cleaning. Clothes is the stairs, okay? Stair cleaning, stair lighting, and electricity. So okay, so everybody is different. They charge different things, right? And this is another example. This is quite hazy, but you see there's landscaping, there's stair lighting. Right, so I'm not going to go through all of them, but you get the idea, okay? And this charging period again is, I think, 3 months, okay? So in this slide, I'm going to talk about, as an investor, what your responsibilities are towards property factors. Okay, so as a property owner, you have responsibilities. Okay, you have responsibilities, and you have to pay the factoring charges whether the property is empty or occupied by a tenant. Okay, they don't care. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you're doing a refurb, there's nobody living in it, you have to pay for the factoring charges. Okay, so you have to deal with the factoring charges. And if you are not happy with the amount that is charged or the work that is being done, including requesting breakdowns, then it is your responsibility. You see, it is your responsibility. So if you're not happy with the works, or you think the amount is too much, or you want to request a breakdown, then the onus is on you as the property owner to go and challenge them. Yeah. So if you want to query anything, or some clarification, also it is really your responsibility. Now, as the letting agent, Dragon Property, what are our responsibilities? Well, as part of the onboarding process, if if the property factor has an online system, we will get you set up online, give you an online account, and then pass you the login credentials. Okay. Uh, as part of that process, we can also, if they don't have an online account, we can get the paper bill sent to the company's correspondence address, and then we will scan the bill to you. Now, we only do that if there's no online account. If there is an online account facility, then we will set up the online account facility for you. Okay. Now, we regarding the direct debit. Some of you in Hong Kong might not know this, but the direct debit is similar to auto pay. So when the property factor every quarter demands payment, they will write to the bank where you have the direct debit set up. If you have it set up, then it will pay on your behalf. Okay, it will pay on your behalf. So we can set this up for you if you want us to set it up for you as part of the onboarding process. Okay. Now you don't need to have it set up. Nobody's forcing you. Some people like to receive their bills, challenge them, query for a breakdown. That's entirely up to you, and then pay them. Okay. But personally, for me, I've got like 20 properties. I don't want to read my bills. I know I have to pay them, so I set them all up in direct debit. Okay, I just set them up in direct debit. Um, Now, another responsibility of Dragon Property is we are responsible for reporting repair issues and arranging access to the property if required, and following up on the status of the repair until satisfactory completion. Okay, so we will follow the whole process. So, for example, if we have a top floor flat and our tenant complains there's a leak, we know it's the flat problem, it's the roof problem. We will contact the property factors, we will organize access, we will get confirmation that the work is being satisfactorily completed by going into the property or asking the tenant, is it still leaking? So we will do that as part of the process, okay? As part of our responsibility. But what we're not responsible for is, if you don't pay your property charges, your property factoring charges, and its consequence. So if you get debt collection letters and stuff like that. We're not responsible for that. You should be paying, as the landlord or as the investor, you should be paying your property factoring charges, okay? And also, we're not going to be involved with dealing with disputes about, the charges and breakdowns of the charges. That is your responsibility. If you want to get clarification or if you dispute anything, then you need to contact them, email them or call them directly, call the property factors. As the letting managers, we are not responsible for that, okay? And we're not responsible for reminding you to pay your property factoring charges. Okay, so if there's an online account, you should check that. If there's a direct debit set up like I do, then I don't bother about it. Now, if you organize the paper, if there's no online account and we have a paper bill, then we will scan it to you and send it to you. But whether you pay it or not, it's not really our concern. Okay, so let me answer some frequently answered questions in this slide. Okay, so does every property have a factor or a property management company? The vast majority of the properties that I purchase from my investors have them. Okay, have property factors. The ones that don't have are the minority. Um, a lot of the cottage flats, like the four in a block, they would not have it because you only have one neighbour, and that's quite easy to deal with. Okay, And usually in a block of, say, 8 properties, then the tendency is, yes, there will be, a property factor most likely. What happens if there isn't a property factor? Well, if there is a repair, then we need to coordinate, or someone needs to coordinate in the apartments to maintain the property. Okay. What happens if you miss a payment or refuse to pay? Well, it's entirely up to the property factor company. They might start sending you legal letters, or some of them are a bit more lenient and they might wait for a year before. Now, ultimately, what can they do if you refuse to pay? They can put a charge on the property. What does a charge mean? It means when you come to sell your property, you have to settle it. You have to settle the charge before you can sell the property. Okay. Now, in my experience, I haven't ever had a property factor having to put a charge on the property. Okay. So it is your responsibility, and as a owner, you don't have a lot of control. It's like a consensus. If the majority says, "Hey, we're paying," then as a minority, you cannot really refuse to pay. Okay, so I can't see how you can challenge these things. Okay, so okay, do you have if there's a property factor? Do you have to use the property factor? And the short answer is yes. Okay, unless lots of people are not happy with the property factor, then they can vote the property factor out and can replace them with another property factor, or you know, not have another property factor. Again, as your letting agent, we're not really responsible for that. Okay, it's you as the property owner would be uh, you know responsible for this. Okay. Now, well, I've answered that question and before. Can you replace them? Yes, you can, really. So if you're not happy, you can complain and write directly to them. But apart from that, you need to get consensus to remove them. So again, if you don't agree with them, you can go and challenge them. Okay. As the letting company, we're not really involved. Now, I hope this gives you a brief overview of what property factors do, what your responsibilities are, what my team's responsibilities are, and some of the frequently asked questions. Now, if I haven't answered them in this video, you can address them to email at support at dragonpropertyletting.com, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Thank you for your time.